from the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
Well, my immediate reaction is not something that I can say on television.
Former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg reacting to reports that President Trump made disparaging comments about U.S. service members. Tonight, his message for the president. Plus, honoring fallen officers, how one event is showing the survivors of officers killed in the line of duty that they are not alone. And a popular apple orchard is up for sale tonight. What the owners say they hope to see happen to the property. Thanks for joining us here on the news at 11. I'm Nicole Griffin. It has been a beautiful Saturday to kick off your Labor Day weekend. But as WRTV meteorologist Kyle Mounts will tell you, showers, Kyle, are on the way.
They are, Nicole, but here's the good news with that. Those rain chances over the next several days, even though they come back into the forecast, they're very low, only about 20 to 30% each day here. You can see 30% on Monday and Thursday. As we look out there right now, very quiet, not only here in central Indiana, but really across the region. We've got clear skies that are in place. Our temperature right now sitting in the upper 60s as we've got that humidity at 63%. It was a little breezy this afternoon. Now those winds under 10 miles per hour. Temperature wise, 70 still in Lafayette. You're at 67 degrees in Bloomington and Connorsville, and Greenfield coming in at 67. As we go into tomorrow morning, I think once again we'll find many locations into the 50s to right around 60 degrees. I don't think we'll see the 40s like we did earlier today in Bloomington and Terre Haute. We start off with clear skies. Those clouds will be increasing. We'll talk about those Sunday afternoon rain chances in just a few minutes.
Kyle, thank you. New at 11, a busy day for Indianapolis firefighters as they battled multiple fires across the city. Just this afternoon, crews were called to Station Street near 30th and Sherman. We're told a woman was taken to the hospital in serious condition for smoke inhalation. Then at 3 o'clock, crews responded to an abandoned church fire on the southeast side on Croft Avenue. Luckily, no one was inside at the time. And then around the same time, firefighters were called to the 7400 block of East 49th Street for a kitchen fire. And then just before 4 o'clock, crews responded to a house fire on North California Street near Michigan Street and Indiana Avenue. One firefighter suffered heat-related injuries. No other injuries were reported. Then at 5, firefighters were called to Union 50 on Mass Ave. No injuries were reported, but the restaurant will have to close for some time. Also new at 11, a crash investigation is underway on the northwest side, and this happened around 7 on 71st and Dean Road. Right now, police have not released many details, but officers did tell us at least one person is seriously hurt. It's unclear what caused the crash. We are working to learn more information. You can find an update on the WRTV app or online at WRTV.com. Today, a sit-in protest was held on Indiana Avenue. Demonstrators lined the street near the Black Lives Matter mural. Protesters again calling for transparency and justice in the investigations of the police shootings of Dre'Jon Reed and Mikhail Rose. There were several people out volunteering people to register to vote today. Demonstrators talked about the importance of making your voice heard this November. Representative Andre Carson was also in attendance with his daughter. He has been a staple at several local protests over the summer. This weekend is the last Indiana Avenue will be closed to vehicles. The road reopens to traffic after Labor Day. Former South Bend mayor and Democratic presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg is responding to a report that claims President Trump made disparaging comments about U.S. service members who died in war. Buttigieg served as a naval intelligence officer and deployed to Afghanistan in 2014. Responding to the report, which claims Trump called American soldiers who died in war, quote, losers and suckers, Buttigieg said it shows a pattern of the president disrespecting U.S. service members.
I think that right now, service members, veterans, their families are furious. Not just because of what he said, but I guess the other thing I keep thinking of is where he said that. Section 60 of Arlington National Cemetery is where the most recent American war dead lie, including people who were there when I was serving in Afghanistan a few years ago. It's a place I go to from time to pay my respects. And this president seems incapable of grasping what it means to sacrifice. Matter of fact, he actually uncharacteristically said something that's true when he said, I don't get it. He clearly doesn't. This is a pattern of behavior that goes all the way back to when it was his turn to serve, and he got out of it.
The president has denied making the comments in question. Today, hundreds of people are spending their Labor Day weekend honoring the lives of fallen law enforcement officers in Indiana. The Cops Cycling for Survivors ride typically lasts 13 days as cyclists ride 1,000 miles across the state, visiting the families and survivors of law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty. But due to COVID-19, the event that was originally scheduled for July took place today in Plainfield at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. The ride raises money that goes to support scholarships and foundations named after the fallen officers. We talked with Cassandra Kuntz, the wife of fallen Howard County Deputy Carl Kuntz, who was shot while serving a search warrant in March of 2016. She says each and every family has a different story, a different way of grieving, but events like this are important to support one another and show survivors they are not alone.
It's important just because it's a healing process. We're not alone. 5 years ago, I would say that I hated seeing all the survivors, but when I look back at that, it's amazing to see how much we're all strangers, but we're all connected in a certain way. The department is a big hit as well when an in-line duty death happens. It doesn't affect just them emotionally, but affects their families because it's always a fear that it could happen to their husband or their wife.
Kuntz says having everyone together today was special. In 2019, 2 officers died in the line of duty in Indiana. Chief David Hewitt of the Rising Sun Police Department and Trooper Peter Bo-Steven with Indiana State Police. In Indianapolis today, a Civil War and Indian War soldier was honored with a headstone dedication ceremony at Crown Hill Cemetery. Jacob Hocker served in the 3rd Battalion Pennsylvania Infantry during the Civil War. According to his family, he took an arrow to the neck during an engagement and survived, but when he died, he was buried in an unmarked grave at Crown Hill. Family members we spoke to say they have heard stories for years about Hocker, but it wasn't until his great-great-grandson started doing research that they knew where he was buried. Today, family members all came together. Some haven't seen each other since the 60s to honor his service.
To me, I feel like it's an honor to him that is more than 100 years past due. All soldiers should be honored for their service. Regardless of what they did, they sacrificed.
It's almost more special for this to happen so many years later for his descendants to be able to honor his passing and his service to our country. If this would have happened 100 years ago when he died, we might never have known any more history. So it's really been special to be a part of that.
After his discharge, Hocker became a veterinarian in Fountain Square until he died in 1911. His headstone was provided by the Veterans Administration. Turning now to the impact the coronavirus is having on Hoosier lives, 1,085 new cases of COVID-19 have been reported. That brings the total number of positive cases to 98,961. More than 1.5 million Hoosiers have been tested for the virus. The positivity rate remains just under 9% at 8.8%. Health officials are also reporting 11 new deaths, and since the pandemic began, 3,138 Hoosiers have died with COVID. Tonight, a local doctor is warning of the possible dangers of a condition that could be linked to COVID-19. Doctors say it could be dangerous for athletes or people that work out. A recent study shows out of 100 adults, nearly 80 had structural changes to their hearts. 6 in 10 were found to have inflammation of the heart muscle. It's called myocarditis, and it could lead to long-term complications. We talked with a cardiologist at Riley Hospital for Children who says it can also cause the heart to beat too fast or too slow.
So the risks that I mentioned were the heart either not beating well, not pumping enough blood to the body, and then also the risk for arrhythmia, so the heart beating too fast or too slow. And either or both of those things on the extreme end can cause death, early death.
Researchers say the condition can lead to more serious issues or even deadly outcomes. Adding in exercise, which adds stress to the heart, can also lead to serious consequences. Researchers recommend anyone who's recovered from COVID-19 undergo a cardiac MRI or wait at least 6 months after you recover from COVID-19 before getting back into a rigorous exercise routine. Bars and clubs in Marion County can reopen on Tuesday, but some industry leaders say they're not happy with the updated public health order. Brad Klopfenstein is the president of the Indiana Licensed Beverage Association, which represents independent bars across the state. He and other advocates say the fact that restaurants that serve food have remained open for months at 50% capacity is the source of some of that frustration. And bars in surrounding counties are open with fewer restrictions.
We're just trying to save an industry, and my fear is that if we don't allow some of these businesses to open back up, we're going to lose the neighborhood bars in Indiana.
25% doesn't even entice the bar owner to turn the power on. They're better off, unfortunately, staying closed. They can't understand why the guy up the street can do it, but I can't do it, and it's really, really stressful.
Marion County has the most COVID-19 cases in Indiana, nearly 19,000 since the start of the pandemic. The next highest number of total confirmed cases nearby is just over 4,100 in Hamilton County. A short-lived but popular area along Mass Ave and Broad Ripple ends after the holiday weekend. The pedestrian corridors in those areas will reopen to traffic after Labor Day. While drivers will be allowed back along the busy strips, the Department of Public Works says businesses that have expanded seating into parking spaces may continue to operate in those locations, and they will still be able to be protected by concrete barriers. It's a socially distant way to spend a day. What better time to visit an apple orchard than the fall months? But one popular orchard nestled right in Johnson County with a rich history is up for sale. WRTV's Lauren Casey was there today for a busy holiday weekend and shares what the longtime owner hopes for the future of the property.
From the stillness of nature to the sweet sounds of children's voices and the crunching of gravel beneath busy feet. This place has something special.
It's just a nice family-friendly place with great food.
Steve and Deborah from Columbus come for the scenery, the donuts, and of course the Honeycrisp apples.
There you go.
And the homemade items they have, it's very nice.
Homemade and homegrown. Owner Sarah Brown has family roots in horticulture, but she stumbled upon her love of gardening as a stay-at-home mom.
And then I started this garden that kept growing and growing and growing and growing, and before you know it, I had 30 apple trees and was feeding the whole neighborhood. And my husband looked at me one day and said, "Have you considered about doing this commercially?" And I said, "You know, I'd like to try that."
And so they acquired this farmland in Trafalgar. Now more than 30 years and more than 10,000 trees later, the Browns produce 70 varieties of apples on a property spanning 135 acres.
It took me a while to learn all my enemies, all the things I had to do to produce a good crop of apples, and I'm still learning. This is an early strain of Honeycrisp.
And this spring was especially tough.
Very heartbreaking.
A 1-2 punch of frost wiping out her crop and a global pandemic impacting her community. But with 30-plus years of grit and determination, Brown has apples to sell this busy season and a plan to keep customers safe. And with acres and acres of apple trees, social distancing is made simple. In addition to the orchard, AppleWorks is home to animals, play spaces.
Can you look at Mommy?
I have 5 boys.
Produce, and more. A place Brown believes can be even better with some new energy, which is why she and her husband are looking to sell and retire.
I've seen a lot of kids in the neighborhood grow up and have their own kids, and so that makes me probably older than dirt. But it's been a joy. It's a labor of love, and we're hoping that the next owners share that passion that we have here for the crop and the orchard.
Working for you in Johnson County, Lauren Casey, WRTV.
Lauren, thank you. We do want to help you find some socially distant fun for the coming fall months. So if you head to our website, WRTV.com, you can find more information on orchards and pumpkin patches open around the area. You can also learn more about the AppleWorks property for sale. Plus, head over to the WRTV Instagram for a look at more pictures that we took today. What a great story, Kyle.
Yeah, and tomorrow, Nicole, not a bad day to head toward the orchard here. We do have the chance for a few thunderstorms in northwestern locations, and there's a marginal risk a couple of those could have some gusty winds. Closer look at that and some rain chances for Labor Day. You're watching WRTV News at 11.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
The Kentucky Derby is one of the country's most treasured events, but this year all eyes were on what was happening before today's race. A massive protest happening outside Churchill Downs. Britt Conway has the details.
Improbable is picking through the pack, making a bold run up to be fifth.
The Kentucky Derby is the Super Bowl here in Louisville, Kentucky.
But this year, instead of fans inside Churchill Downs, the stands were quiet. Outside, though, it was anything but.
We knew with this kind of platform, with this kind of megaphone, that we could really blast our message to the rest of the world.
They want justice for Breonna Taylor, who was shot and killed by Louisville police nearly 6 months ago while they were executing a no-knock search warrant.
I just can't understand for the life of me why it's taken so long.
Timothy Finley is the founder of the Justice and Freedom Coalition, just one of several groups who came out in numbers to protest ahead of the race.
And we want police change. We want police accountability. We want the police defunded.
There were counter-protesters there, too, including a self-described white militia. And police were out in full force, breaking up some heated confrontations between protesters and counter-protesters.
They can do what they want to do. It's a free country. But for us, we're focused, we're not distracted, and we're going to continue to call for justice.
I think there'll be protests every day until justice is served.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Britt, thank you. President Trump has banned federal agencies from conducting racial sensitivity training. In a memo, he called the training, quote, divisive anti-American propaganda. The document also says these sessions only foster resentment in the workforce. The trainings educated participants on white privilege and other, quote, critical race theory. Several civil rights leaders, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter, Bernice King, have come out against the decision. In a Twitter post, King said, quote, if diversity training is anti-American, the soul of America is getting sicker and sicker, end quote. The Pentagon has moved to close down the Stars and Stripes, a newspaper serving American troops since the Civil War. But the decision seems to be at odds with President Trump. In a tweet, he says he will not let that happen. At least 15 U.S. senators sent a letter to Defense Secretary Mark Esper protesting the move as well. The Pentagon plan calls for dissolving the paper by September 15th, including closing all of its offices worldwide. That means the last issue would be September 30th. The Department of Defense says shutting down the publication would save more than $15 million a year. Take a look at these pictures from Lake Travis, Texas, where authorities say several boats sank during a pro-Trump boat parade. The Travis County Sheriff's Office said they were called for multiple emergencies for boats in distress. Authorities say several boats did sink, but there were no immediate reports of injuries. Crews believe the number of boats on the water created choppy conditions. A Facebook page for the event said more than 2,600 people plan to attend the event. And here at home, Kyle, it was a beautiful day today to get out on the water.
Yeah, it started off a little bit cool, but those temperatures rallied to more than 30 degrees warmer over those morning lows. We got into the 80s this afternoon. Right now, we sit in the 60s, 68 degrees in Indianapolis, lower 60s in Kokomo and Bloomington at 67. Again tomorrow morning, a little cool in a few spots, 54 in Peru, 53 degrees in Richmond. We'll be in the upper 50s around Indy. Could have a little bit of patchy fog out there first thing in the morning, but if you are going to be heading to the pool, we'll warm up pretty nicely here into the afternoon. 80 to 84 for that afternoon temperature. We're going to increase the clouds, that small rain chance to the northwest. The UV index will be running in the moderate range as we see those clouds right here on TrueCast by mid to late morning. This is 9:30 in the morning. You also notice there's some rain back to the northwest, but I think this is going to have a difficult time making its way very far into central Indiana. May see some of those showers around Williamsport into the Lafayette, Monticello areas here as we go late morning, but then it kind of dissipates from there, and we'll just have those mostly cloudy to partly sunny skies here as we break down the Sunday forecast. Temperatures still in the middle 70s here by the middle of the day. We'll climb into the lower 80s for that afternoon high. A little more humidity as we go into the afternoon as well. That high 84 in Bloomington, 82 in Muncie. Your Labor Day forecast, again, we're going to have those clouds around and a chance for some rain, but temperatures that will make their way into the middle 80s. As far as those rain chances on Monday, looks like it will come early in the day. Here's a look actually overnight tomorrow night. We see a few of those thunderstorms. Remember, I showed you that marginal risk for northern locations. That's where that would come into play here late tomorrow night. Could see some gusty winds with a few of those. By 5 a.m., we've got those showers, a few thunderstorms starting off early Monday morning around Indianapolis and I-70. But by the time we get to mid-morning, by 10 a.m. on Monday, they are southeast of the Seymour area, and we'll actually start to see a little more sunshine heading into the second part of the day. As far as rainfall potential, most of the models about 1/4 of an inch or less. So we're not talking about any washouts here. 7-day planning forecast. It continues to heat up, though. Tuesday, 87, 86 on Wednesday. A front finally will clear the area for the end of the week, and that brings in a fall feel by next weekend. Nicole, highs are only in the 70s.
All right, Kyle, thank you. A glimmer of hope for the airline industry after the break, how this holiday weekend is proving to be a turning point for traveling. The number of people passing through security at U.S. airports this holiday weekend could set a new pandemic record. It's a glimmer of hope for an air travel industry that's still struggling. The high point on Thursday was 10 times the low point seen back in April. TSA estimates 900,000 people flew on Friday, but that official number will not be out until Tuesday. Those who are flying are facing an entirely new experience. TSA employees are blocked by acrylic shields, and another way to keep up social distance is being tested for the first time at Reagan National Airport. A new machine will scan your ID and also your face to prove that it's really you. Arby's really does have the meat. The fast food chain is now selling its famous roast beef and other meats by the pound or half pound. It says COVID-19 sparked the idea since people can get the items right from the drive-thru. The cost is about $5 for a half pound and $9 for a pound. Options include roast turkey, ham, and corned beef. Right now, this is just a trial run in the Atlanta area, but no word yet if it will spread nationwide. A herd of sheep in California caused quite the stir when they lost their way. Coming up after the break, see the major backup that they caused. A group of bighorn sheep took a trip down a California mountain, causing quite the backup. Riverside County Sheriff's deputies were called into the area to help the sheep find their way back. They had to shut down the road and reroute traffic while the animals were moved. It took deputies about an hour, Kyle, to get the sheep back to the mountain area. Look at them. They're just slowly walking along, hanging out.
You could say they were on the lam, right? Yeah.
Right.
Out there for a Saturday stroll. All right, well, if you're heading for a Sunday stroll, we got some pretty nice weather. A few more clouds that are going to be with us here. Temperatures in the lower to middle 80s through Labor Day. Isolated shower or storm there. Much cooler by the time we get to Friday and Saturday. Highs in the 70s.
All right, Kyle, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow at 6. Have a great night.